Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Getting up at press conference, talking about nothing. Learn the laws. I tell y'all that all the time. Learn from me. But because I'm younger than all y'all think y'all can't learn from me, huh?
So it's official. Jason House has won. He is the mayor of Dolton. 100% has been reported. You see right here. Cassandra Hobson Jordan only received 152 votes. Jason House had 95% of the vote. Landslide victory. 20% turnout. And the new era of Dolton starts. This is it. Cassandra Hobson Jordan did not win. We go for the clerk. Allison Key is going to be your clerk. And the trustees as follows. You see Brittany Norwood, Kiana Belcher, Edward Steve. He comes back as the trustee. And Denasha Lee Harrison had more votes than Cassandra. Harrison had 330 votes. And Cassandra Hobson Jordan only had 152 votes. That shows that she lost to people early. I think people knew that they were going to vote for her from the very, very early on. I think there was a few public instances, and you call it online, whatever you want to call it, videos, live streams. It was a bad look. I think a lot of people thought that she was similar to Tiffany Henyard, and that's what happened. So only 20% turned out. That may be high for the Village of Dolton, but 20% turnout, she is not going to be the mayor. So let's check out what's going on with the township. And we look out here. 97% is reported. So it looks like, again, 13.56% turnout. Napoleon Harris is going to probably win. I'll declare it. He won. He will be the supervisor. Richard Nolan, Republican, not a chance. Chris Clark, who said he was going to drop out, he didn't. He obviously, and Nate Fields, he did not make it as an independent candidate. We look at the clerk, it'll be Casey A. Nesbitt, and assessor will be Cassandra Elson. She'll be the assessor. And let's look at the highway commissioner. It'll be Anton T. Russell, won convincingly right here. And the township, so you got Byron D. Stanley, Christopher Gonzalez, Mary Avant, and Valerie Stubbs. They got it, a 13% turnout. So it was like 114,000 who voted, and only 15% turnout to vote. And that's it. So only surprise that I saw so far in Sauk Village. I made a few videos talking about what's going on with the mayor and how the mayor and the clerk were going back and forth. But it turns out that the woman that tried to almost clock Derek Burgess in the head with a gavel, she will be the mayor. She won. And it's 100%. It's official. She won. Very, very interesting results. Congratulations to her. The people have spoken. It's time for everyone to kind of try to figure out what's the next move. Try to work together, but I doubt it. There's going to be a lot of hurt feelings. Riverdale. Oh, and Lawrence Jackson, shout out to him. He won, and he is still indicted by the feds, and he won. Well, he was unopposed, so it didn't matter. So it's official. Tiffany Henyard, no longer the mayor of Dolton. Looks like she's no longer going to be the supervisor of Dolton Township. She is just Tiffany. And it's been a fall from grace. This entire saga, it's just like you're watching someone throw gasoline on their own career and wonder why everything is on fire. So let's rewind for a second. Tiffany Henyard came into power with the kind of energy that a lot of people thought there was going to be something positive, right? She was young, right? That's what she called herself. First female mayor of Dolton, first black supervisor of Dolton Township, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff, all this potential for a fresh chapter. She's going to be this trailblazer. She's going to be the fighter for the people, and feed the people, right? But somewhere along the way, and probably from the start, the focus shift from service to self-promotion. Instead of doing the boring but necessary work, she was just chasing clout. She was running her township like it was her own personal IG. She's spending all that money in township and Dolton, commingling, racking up the fancy dinners, the luxury security details, the lavish trips, spending six figures traveling across the country, all while the finances were circling down the drain. And I think the reason why a lot of people started to talk about this story is because people noticed. The people were getting upset. They were getting frustrated. They were trying to get people to to care about the situation. And obviously the press got involved, and later on you realize the feds got involved. The residents started to show up at the meetings, and they got mad, they got loud. And then everyone just started to come together, started to talk about the situation, from journalists to other politicians, obviously YouTubers, from mostly just residents. Everyone had something to say. A lot of receipts came out. Everyone realized how bad the optics looked in this situation. So you think someone in her position should have just chilled out, hit the bricks, realized that I'm doing too much, apologize perhaps, maybe change course to try to get back to the basics, try to compromise, because that's what politicians are supposed to do, compromise. They can't get everything their way. It just doesn't how to work that way. But nope, Tiffany doubled down. She leaned into the chaos. She fought with the trustees. She got physical with people, physically, like literally physical, cut off licenses, tried to basically try to kick people out of their business, throwing crazy amount of tickets, fines to people, refused to answer questions, blocked critics on the social media, even showed up at community meetings, flanked with the police guards, police chief Lacey telling about, I'm going to shut down the room like she was the president, coming out of the Tahoes, which they spend a ridiculous amount of money on interest. It was a failed thing from the start. And here's the thing, politics is nasty. It's extremely nasty. It's not for the weak, especially with local politics. But I think it's important to have some kind of balance. You have to be tough, but smart. You have to make friends. You gotta keep the enemies close, but you also have to know when to take the L and regroup. And Tiffany didn't do any of that. She surrounded herself with yes men. She surrounded herself with people who were either incompetent, shady, or both. People with criminal backgrounds, people with sexual assault, not allegations, but also convictions. Folks who probably couldn't pass a simple basic background check. That's who she rolled with. And it cost her, not just politically, but publicly. She created enemies everywhere. I mean, how many people did not like to deal with this person? From the board to the township staff, from the everyday residents who just wanted working roads, clean water, take care of the issues with the dogs walking around mauling people. She never tried to work with the people that she didn't like. And then in politics, even if you can't sit in the same room with someone you disagree with, you're going to be done. You have to work with people. And it's not just being, the happy-go-lucky person that wants to throw on, parties and stuff like that. It's about really getting to work and sitting down and getting things done. This wasn't a downfall based on one mistake. This was a slow, spiraling self-destruction made worse by pride, ego, and delusion. Every red flag was ignored. Every scandal was dismissed as hate. And just this person never took responsibility, never looked in the mirror and said, you know what, maybe I messed up. She said people were jealous. It was racism. It was sexism. Oh, it was voter suppression.
Because y'all got false narratives out there, and y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All the stuff that y'all did to get people to come to our community, to just diss and down our community. Shame on y'all. Because when I want to attack and take any of y'all seats, I run. I run for the seat. I don't do smear campaigns. I don't do all this mess. It's nonsense. Because at the end of the day, we still got to live in this village. Oh, well, y'all don't live in the village, but we still got to live in the village.
Tiffany Henyard, because you're no longer the super mayor, maybe it was just you. Maybe you made a number of mistakes. That the reason why you are kicked out of both of these positions, that maybe it's the buck stops with you. Jason House just beat her earlier by a landslide and beat Cassandra Hobson by a landslide. He didn't have to run a really slick campaign. He just kind of positioned himself as anti-Tiffany. The dude was calm. He's low key. He's not on IG. He's not yelling and screaming. He just seemed like he had, even if there is flaws, it's just comparing the two, one looks better than the other. He looked like a grown-up in the room. Looking at Napoleon Harris, the former NFL player turned state senator, the man barely had to say a word during this entire election cycle. I don't know if you can say he did a campaign. I don't know. I know he was in a few local events, but when you're running for something, that's usually you want to be out in front of the public eye. But he just came in with a clean suit and smiled, and it worked. And I guess because people were done with Tiffany. It's possible you probably could have ran a literal plant against Tiffany Henyard, and folks would have voted for the plant. They would have voted for the rock. If it was a rock, Tiffany Henyard versus a rock for a township, people would have voted for the rock. That's how bad this has been. Even with Tiffany Henyard out, the game in Illinois politics is still dirty, it's still shady, and it's still corrupt. Henyard wasn't the entire disease. She was just a symptom. She was just the loudest, most reckless example. But this whole system still enables people to use identity to grab power, even if they have no business holding office. You flash the right buzzwords, talk about you're black, I'm black, woman empowerment, talk about religion, talk about God, even if you don't have the best track record, even if you don't have a plan. We've seen a lot of mayors in this area. Jada Curry, for example, the mayor of Linwood, people defended her even though she's out allegedly hiding how much money she was making while holding multiple positions. Like, how is that even cool? Talking about the Harvey Mayor Clark and how he's running things. There's so many issues. Riverdale, there's a guy that is indicted by the feds. So what I want to ask you guys, in this area, why there's so many people holding 2 or 3 government jobs at the same time? Why are we acting like this is normal? I mean, I guess it is, but it's like a game of musical chairs, except the music never stops and the chairs just belong to the same 5 people. I just don't understand. So do I think everything will just magically get better because Tiffany is gone? Unfortunately, this is not a Disney movie. This is not Marvel. This is not the Avengers. This is Chicago-based politics. This is Illinois-based politics, which means you still have the shitty backroom deals. You still have the fake reformers. And you still have, it's just new characters in playing the same old game. Now, hopefully that house changes things. Hopefully Napoleon Harris shows up and talks. Hopefully. I mean, I think Tiffany Henyard taught a lot of us a lesson. It's not just about what happens when you get power, but it's like, and abuse it, but it's what happens when your ego and attention becomes more important than impact and service. Some people say she could have been great. She could have brought change. I don't think so. The moment that I saw that news story, if I was voting, and I saw a news story of her being a slumlord to that black woman with her kids that had black mold in the house, I would have never voted for her in the first place. But that's just me. And me dealing with slumlords in my history, I wouldn't have done it. We don't want to play Monday morning quarterback. It is what it is. She's no longer the super mayor. She's not the supervisor. She is just Tiffany. No titles, no power. Just another name in a long list of Illinois politicians that embarrass themselves. And I guess you could say flew too close to the sun. I don't know. It's just, hopefully this is a warning, not just for future mayors and supervisors, but everyone, the voters, the residents, the people watching this circus. You got to stay focused. You still got to stay loud. You still got to pay attention. You still got to stay skeptical and stop putting people in power just because they say the right things or they look like you or they worship the same invisible man that you do, because it's possible it may not be Tiffany, but it may be someone else smoother, someone that can speak and actually say the word journalist instead of journalisms. You smile at the camera, but empties your pockets while doing it. So it's really important to be really vigilant in Illinois politics. But the good things, the positive things that happen out of this situation, I think people are at least more locked into local politics. Before this, a lot of people didn't really know much about getting a FOIA request, understanding what it takes to run meetings. People are watching board meetings. They're reading budgets. I think that alone is a massive win. The truth is, the local government affects us more than we think what goes on in Washington. Your mayor, your township supervisor, they decide how your tax dollars are being spent. They decide what's getting fixed, who's getting hired, and how your neighborhood runs. And I think people are now understanding that. So, which is great that we have people who are in this area making videos. They're making content. They're on YouTube. They're on Facebook. They're making videos. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. So even the fact that, maybe many of the big YouTubers may move on to other stories, that they still have a local, very strong group of content creators that are still going to put pressure on these officials to do the right thing. These officials can't act like they're untouchable. That's what the whole Tiffany situation did. It lit a fire under a lot of people. It reminded us that titles doesn't equal integrity, and people are not untouchable. Watchdogs. Everyday citizens holding their leaders accountable. I think that's a powerful thing. I think that's an extremely important thing. I think that's the real win in this situation. We're going to see the next move for Tiffany Henyard. Of course, we'll be continue to follow all her movements. I think she's definitely Netflix material. At first, we all thought maybe Tubi or like Lifestyle. Is Lifestyle still a channel? Is Lifestyles? No, Lifetime Lifestyles. Lifestyle is something else. Lifetime, definitely. We thought definitely Tubi, maybe Hulu, but I think at this point, enough people care about this story. I think she definitely will get a Netflix. definitely a Netflix story, at least a little doc. It could definitely do 8 episodes. I think it's enough content for 8 episodes. I mean, or at least 4. Because a lot of these Netflix shows, they have like a mini series. They do like 4 episodes, 3 to 4, sometimes 8 if it's crazy. You have thousands of hours of Henyard's footage, thousands of hours. From all of the meetings, from her being a trustee, from her being the mayor, from her being a supervisor, on her Facebook, Instagram. There's thousands of hours of her talking. So she definitely should get at least an 8 to 10 episode deal. And one thing, listen, I'm gonna say, Cap, I did a poll a couple of days ago, and I said, if Tiffany Henyard gets a reality TV show, will you watch? And a bunch of people said no, and I'm like, come on, you would watch. Everyone is going to watch. Even if you don't like her a lot, for some reason, I don't know if it's a human condition, we like watching people we don't like. So to tell me that you pop up your Netflix and what's recommended is the Tiffany Henyard, the Henyard or Call the Road, the Tiffany Henyard documentary, you're telling me that you're not going to watch? Come on. Thank you. I think people would watch. I will watch it and I will love every second of it. Yeah, it's kind of like the train wreck. It's hard to look away. Who won the election? Well, you can see right here. Napoleon Harris won they're going super slow with the count. So we're still waiting. But Jason House won. Jason House is the mayor of Dolton. As you guys can see, just a massive beatdown. Like massive. Only 152 human beings voted for Cassandra Hobson Jordan. 152 people. That's not a lot of people. That's not a lot of people at all. Just comparison, her trustee. So the person that was going to be under her, because she was going to be the executive branch, right, as a mayor, and the legislative branch is the trustee. Her trustee that she ran with had more votes than she did. Almost basically twice as much votes. He had 330 and she had 152. A devastating loss. And that's why I didn't spend too much time covering a lot of what was going on in that situation, because she didn't have a lot of history of being corrupt. Obviously she was running, and it just did from the very beginning, it just didn't seem like she was going to have a chance to win anyway, just the way her campaign was running. I think a lot of people equated her to be like Tiffany Henyard. So if you already have been labeled that way, you're not going to win.
Somebody going to jail.